This just in. Have you ever spent 20 minutes passionately explaining a brilliant strategy to a potential client, only to watch their eyes slowly glaze over like a stunned mullet? You're not alone. As an expert in your field, you probably assume that the biggest barrier to winning new business is your marketing budget or your sneaky competitors. But according to the principles outlined in the book Made to Stick, the real villain is actually your own brain. You are currently suffering from a severe cognitive bias known as the curse of knowledge. Once you understand the deep technical complexities of your job, it becomes physically impossible for you to remember what it was like to be a clueless beginner. So before you write another highly technical, profoundly boring consulting proposal, we need to talk about why your expertise is quietly ruining your sales. So why do your clients keep missing the point? To understand why your marketing is failing, we have to look at a famous Stanford psychology experiment. The researchers divided people into two groups, tappers and listeners. The tappers were asked to tap out the rhythm of a well-known song on a table, and the listeners had to guess the tune. Because the tappers could hear the full, beautiful orchestration playing in their heads, they confidently predicted that half of the people would guess the song correctly. In reality, the listeners only guessed the song 2.5% of the time. Why? Because they could not hear the music in the tapper's head. All they heard were a bunch of disconnected, annoying thuds. As a service provider, you are the tapper. And are you fascinating or just exhausting? When you talk about your business, you hear the beautiful, complex melody of your expertise. Your customer just hears a series of disconnected, confusing taps. And you also suffer from something called fluency misattribution, which is the incredibly arrogant belief that because an idea makes perfect sense to you, it must be naturally easy for your clients to understand. You desperately want to share every single technical detail because experts are fascinated by complexity. But your clients are not experts. They are novices, and novices are completely paralyzed by complexity. So how do you stop tapping and start actually communicating? Let's look at how to beat the curse of knowledge. To fix this, you have to find your commander's intent. The military knows that no complex plan ever survives contact with the enemy. So they use a simple core objective, like take the bridge. So everyone knows exactly what to do when things go wrong. Southwest Airlines did this by brutally simplifying their entire brand into one phrase: the low-fare airline. If an employee suggests adding a fancy chicken Caesar salad to the menu, the answer is no, because it does not serve the core objective. You must become a master of exclusion, stripping away your beloved technical nuances until only the absolute core of your value remains. But how do you break their guessing machine? Having a simple message is completely useless if the client is ignoring you. Human brains are literally designed to ignore predictable patterns. If you start a meeting by saying exactly what every other consultant says, their brain shuts off. You have to violate their expectations and open a curiosity gap. You must figure out what the unexpected implications of your service are and communicate them in a way that completely subverts their common sense. If the client feels they already know your solution, they have absolutely zero reason to hire you. But getting their attention is only half the battle. How do you make them actually believe you? And that brings us to why abstract corporate jargon is killing your sales. When you use expert abstractions to describe your services, you leave absolutely no hooks in the customer's memory. You have to use concreteness, which acts like the Velcro of the mind. The Nature Conservancy figured this out when they stopped trying to sell abstract acres of land and started naming specific landscape celebrities, like the Mount Hamilton Wilderness. It is infinitely easier to find a specific mountain than a generic, boring set of hills. You have to stop selling abstract solutions and start selling concrete deliverables that reduce your client's anxiety. But how do you get out of Maslow's basement? If you want people to actually take action, you have to bypass their analytical hat. Once a client starts calculating numbers, they completely stop feeling. We constantly assume that our customers only care about the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy, like money and basic security. But the famous "Don't Mess with Texas" campaign succeeded because they did not talk about the environment. They appealed to the macho identity of Texas truck drivers, making littering a personal insult to their home state. You don't just sell the best seed, you sell the neighbor's envy. If your marketing is currently a confusing symphony of technical jargon that only you can hear, you are actively driving clients away. Your expertise is your greatest asset, but your inability to unknow is your greatest liability. If your website copy is putting people to sleep or failing to convert, do not ask a chatbot to fix it. Get my 5-minute marketing fix. It helps you strip out the boring industry jargon and highlight your actual human value and figure out exactly what is quietly costing you sales. You can download it for free in the description below, or you can go to strategicmarketingtribe.com/fix. But what about you? What is the most ridiculous piece of corporate jargon you have ever had to pretend to understand in a meeting? I'll go first. Someone once told me we needed to synergize our core competencies to maximize the downstream bandwidth. I had to sheepishly confess that I had no idea what they were on about. Okay, your turn. What's the worst jargon you've ever heard? Let me know in the comments. I'm Vicky Sidler from the Strategic Marketing Tribe, and I post helpful book reviews for small businesses every week.